Another week, it's Season 10, a set of top upvoted questions on the OverwatchUniversity subreddit. Here we go. First question of the week is, I'm ashamed to even be asking this, but how to improve my mechanical skills and reaction times without the use of a hard stimulant drug. Silver 5 tank main, mostly played D.Va and peaked Silver 3. I won't reveal the specific drug in question in case it breaks the rules. Check my post history if you want to know what drug it is. But I often will use said hard stimulant drug while playing competitive Overwatch because it improves my reaction time, focus, and mechanical skill. I'm a lot more able to pay attention to all the moving parts of the game, where my supports are, when to peel, reaction time so I can retreat or engage at the right time, etc. However, said drug is having impacts on my physical health as well as my relationships, so I need to develop a healthier relationship with it, and that includes not depending on it to play better, but I just don't have the same level of focus, awareness, and speed sober. How do I develop or practice this besides just play more? I'm afraid if I play sober too long, I'll rank down. I'm already on a losing streak after coming off my last binge. I feel like a professional athlete admitting using steroids, FFS, for fuck's sakes. Edit, I'd also like to add that before I started said drug before I started Overwatch, and it was during my last 11-month clean streak off that drug when I started Overwatch. I don't do this just for Overwatch, but I did find that it made the game more fun and that I won more while on it. Okay, I'm not gonna shame addiction because it is a very real problem, substance abuse and everything, and I would say that you're probably putting too much stock into Overwatch and how it makes you feel in terms of like playing better, and because you have way bigger fish to fry, which is addiction to drugs. And I looked at your post history just now, and it says it's cocaine, and cocaine addiction is a little higher of a priority to take care of than playing better in Overwatch, especially in silver. Not that the rank matters, but it's just a game, and you have to really get some help for substance abuse. Like, I'm not even gonna answer on how to improve your mechanical skills and reaction time. That will come over time as you continue to play more. And don't feel too ashamed. I'm just, trying to help you out here. There's no answer here to help you besides playing the game more and playing it sober and playing it to the best of your ability and feeling rewarded for just playing your best, and without having that dependency on the drug, making it feel like you're playing and reacting better and engaging and disengaging better. You can improve on that without drugs. How far can Junkrat take me in comp? I really love Junkrat gameplay. He's probably the most fun hero for me to play by far, and I find landing hits with him super satisfying, and I love his blast mines for both movement tech and damage capabilities. Even the trap ends up making some really entertaining and fun moments when you use it right. I'm not super good at the game despite how long I've played. I've only peaked gold, but I've heard that higher ranks Junkrats become bad, so I'm worried that I'll end up being a detriment to my teammates. I'm actively climbing again, so I'm just unsure. I answer this a lot, but at the end of the day, remember, every hero is one trickable to top 500 in GM. There are a few Junkrat one tricks who are still somehow making him work at the highest ranks. So how far can Junkrat take me? The sky, to no limits. Maybe top 10 may not be attainable, but you can most certainly hit top 500, bottom top 500, or in Grandmaster you can definitely hit it just playing any hero in the game, Junkrat included. Pharah or Hog in metal ranks is getting ridiculous. I need help. Every other match, it's them on the other team. Plus Mercy or Kiriko unintentionally heal botting since no one can keep distance or pressure on Hog, while Pharah is flying around and taking out the backline like nothing. I find these heroes impossible for my team to keep up every time I'm queued against them. I swear to God, she will usually die when using her ult, then ever. I'm a Widow main, but unlike Echo, Pharah's air strafing is ridiculous to headshot, and after I miss my first sneaky shot, she's on me and I'm dead in seconds, even while trying to hide. I switched to Sojourn or Sombra if she's being too much, but how can I deal with a Hog that will not die? Most tanks are taking good cover in gold, so when Hog runs, I really can't chase after unless he's alone or my team is also on him, because I'll just get hooked and one-shotted and meleeed. I feel their supports are forced to heal Hog since he's just able to tank all the shots and not die quickly because of his self-heal. Okay, so number one is that obviously killing an opponent is the best value. So as Widowmaker, you're trying to go for a headshot on an air strafing Pharah. It is hard to headshot, like you said, because the movement is very erratic and there's a lot of bobbing up and down, which feels harder to deal with than like just ground strafing from opponents or a little jump, because that's a lot more predictable. So one mindset shift I can recommend is not necessarily going for a confirmed kill. And same with the Roadhog, you're saying stuff like, I can't chase after him unless he's alone. You don't have to chase after the Roadhog. You don't have to necessarily kill the Pharah, but it's called pressure. Pressure in this game is the king of everything, right? Confirming the kill obviously is the most pressure because they lose that entire hero, but you can still contribute a lot by just peppering some damage into them. You don't have to play Widowmaker, you can play stuff like Cass, Ashe, Soldier, heroes that can pressure or force Roadhog to not hook and shoot because he's like getting pressured so hard he has to sit there and vape and maybe run back a little bit out of cover. That's creating space for your team because Roadhog has to leave. Same with Pharah. Pharah's flying into the open, no fear, because no one's pressuring her. Obviously, if you miss your whiffed sneaky shot on Widowmaker, then yeah, she can turn on you. But if you're playing another hero or even Widowmaker and body shot a Pharah once, unless this Pharah has literally the balls of steel or ovaries of steel or whatever, getting shot and losing half your health is naturally, for most sane players, gonna make you think twice and change your psychology of where you're playing. If I'm a Pharah in the open, I lose 120 health instantly from a body shot from a Pharah, from a Widow. I'm like, oh crap, there's a Widow there. I just got shot in the body. Maybe I should duck or drop down immediately or hide into cover. Same with the Roadhog. The concept is there. Pressure shots, pressure to force them away. Confirming a kill again is the best, end solution, but at the end of the day, you gotta, it's little small steps. So pressure from you and pressure from the rest of your team can all contribute to a kill. Sometimes it feels like a lot of players feel like they have to do everything. They have to confirm that kill on Hog. They have to confirm that kill by themselves as Widow against the Pharah or the Mercy. No, just pressure them, get them out of the main line of sight so Hog, doesn't sit there, vape in the open and feel like he can just hook whenever he wants, or the Pharah can shoot wherever he wants. Pressure, pressure, pressure. Okay. I can't please people with Lucio. Hi, I picked up Overwatch 2 months ago and have absolutely fell in love with support. I main Lucio, get a lot of value out of him, but the only problem is I can't seem to please my team members. I usually have 3 to 5 people per day either telling me I'm not healing enough or I need to do more damage. I mainly play quick play and average 4 to 5k damage and roughly 2 to 3k in healing. I always make sure to be around someone unless I'm flanking a Widow or Ana and get about 2 to 3 environmental kills a match, map permitting. Booping needs some work with telegraphing opponent movements, but overall decent. What should I be doing better? What should the ideal Lucio game style be? I know it's not heal botting, but should I really have more heal boost than speed boost? That feels awful and it's not adding the value that speed boost does. Okay, first of all, ignore people. People don't know what they want and people have a big confusion on what Lucio's inherent value is. And number 2, it's quick play. Like, people flaming and asking you to do XYZ in quick play need to get a life. It's quick play for a reason. It's casual, but at the same time, I understand why people, obviously you're not like throwing the game. It looks like you're playing like Lucio like normal, but people are gonna be like, we need a shield, we need more heals, we need more damage. There's always gonna be people who want and never give, right? It's always wants. So number 1, don't worry about pleasing other people with Lucio. It looks like you're doing a great job. You're new to the game. You're having a good time. And those numbers seem pretty normal. I play, at a very, not always at a high level, depending on what's happening, but I played in the OWCS, and like you can see all the Lucio stats at a high professional level. And a lot of times it is way more damage than healing because Lucio is constantly shooting those green Oreos and poking. So you actually get a lot of chip damage that's built up over time. And a lot of people are scoreboard sallies. They'll look at the scoreboard and be like, what? You're not healing enough. But realistically, a good Lucio knows how to engage and disengage with the speed boost. That's a big part of his value. And then building up your beat when amping heals at the right times when everybody is low around you, like 3 or more people can build your beat really fast. But, it's hard to like have a conversion of 1-to-1 and seeing what speed boost does for your team to either engage or disengage because it doesn't show up on the stat sheet. So people have a misconstrued perception of what Lucio's good at. But at the end of the day, you're doing fine. The ideal Lucio game style is, I would say, calculated. There's a fine balance between both. You don't have to full commit speed all the time. Finding good times to speed in and speed out. It's harder in quick play because not everyone's coordinated, so the speed is actually reserved mostly for yourself to go assassinate people. And then most certainly there are times to amp heals, like I said, to build a faster Lucio beat. You're doing just fine. A calculated approach with a balance of both is probably the best thing, and you're adding value, so ignore the haters. That's what I would say. So how does a newish player start to really get into Overwatch? I played Overwatch 1 for a while, but I stopped. Now I'm starting to put more time into the game this season. How does one start the process of getting good? I placed high gold on all my roles. I feel like that's a good place to start actually thinking about how this game should be played properly. For other games like Valorant, there's a very clear and obvious way to improve, which is to given to everyone who asks, what is this for Overwatch, and are there any content creators I should watch? Me. Okay, what do you really improve at to get into Overwatch? The easiest and most tangible way to instantly get better is to die less. I've been saying this advice for many, many years. It sounds like very superficial on the surface, but it's less about just simply dying less, but thinking about how to get there. So working on your positioning, where you can maximize offensive value without putting yourself in danger. Now, another problem with always saying die less is people will take this advice too literally and just play so passive and never press W or never contribute to the fight. It's like, oh no, this content creator told me to die less, so I'm just gonna sit all the way in the back line being very passive. So maybe a better approach would be calculated safety and aggression in order to minimize your deaths, because dying less means more uptime for your team. Maybe a better non-abstract example is, think about it this way. If you die in Overwatch, you have a 10-second respawn. If it's overtime or there's spawner advantage, it can go up to like 14 or 15 seconds to respawn in some very outlier cases. 15 seconds in bad cases, doing absolutely nothing. Then you have to calculate the time for you to walk back into the team fight. And then you're obviously going to be in a really rough position because like it's predictable. Like let's say Eichenwald's second point. When you come out, you only have 2 doors, right? So you're like funneled into those 2 positions, and you have 15-second respawn in bad cases. Let's just say 12-second respawn if it's overtime, plus a 10-second walk out the door. 22 seconds, mathematically, of doing zero. Nothing for your team when you die. But let's say you're getting pressured by a Sombra and you have to run into the door and grab the mega health pack. Even though you're running away from the fight and like, you know, you're like, oh my god, I can't do anything because I'm getting pressured. The fact that you're alive means you're drawing attention from that Sombra or that Tracer chasing you around, which is making space in some ways. Like you're drawing threat, you're drawing attention, and that is better than just running into their thing and just dying instantly and doing nothing for 22 seconds. You jumped away for a little bit against the Tracer and Sombra for 5 seconds, grab the health pack, maybe even had to wait an extra 5 to 10 seconds for the self-healing global passive to kick in. And then you come back out after 10 seconds, because it's like, what, 5 seconds for it to kick in for non-support heroes. You wait a couple of seconds and come out. You only ditched the fight for 10 seconds versus dying and being out of the fight for 22 seconds anyways. It's half the time. You have way more uptime by just playing safely and being okay with just hiding in cover and understanding that that Tracer and Sombra still have to worry about you because they know you're still alive, but you ran away, and then they get to do other things, but at least you're still there and you can pop back out in half the time. So if you think about it that way, just dying less means so much in this game. So much. Another abstract example is going for 1-for-1 trades. If you're a Cassidy or an Ashe, you're in a great high ground position. You see someone really low, you're on the top of Gibraltar, someone was really low below you, and you decide to drop down and chase that kill. But because you did that, and maybe you did confirm the kill, well, number one, there's the risk of you not confirming that kill, then you just gave up your bad position, and then somebody on their team sees you drop down, and they punish you for it. That's the worst case scenario. Number two, you get that kill, but because you drop down, you don't have any pressure anymore in that good position, and then you die afterwards because of that positioning. You got a 1-for-1, depending on the map, not the best. Or think about holding your spot, playing it safer but calculated, knowing that this position is very strong, and because you're standing here, you're denying 5 different angles from their team. Even though the person is low below you, you don't tunnel vision and then chase the Tracer who can just blink away and then pulls you out of a bad spot. You're holding your strong position on the high ground as Ashe on Gibraltar, and you make more space for your team in that capacity. So minimizing deaths, holding your ground, playing strong positions and angles can do wonders for you to get into Overwatch and improve a lot as a player. That's the process of getting good. Is Genji an aim-intensive hero? I'm looking for a dive character to round out my DPS roster. I'm considering Genji. The thing is, I have absolutely horrible aim. Imagine the worst aim you can have and times that by 10. Horrid, no good, very bad. Okay, so what's decent? All right, I would say Genji is not truly that aim intensive, but you have to have roughly good crosshairs in snapping, because like if you dash, you can't just take the slowest 180 turn. A lot of good Genji players have pretty high sensitivity, because they need to be able to understand the rough abstract area. So I wouldn't even say he's like super aim intensive. He's a projectile hero where you shoot, you know, projectiles from poking distance, and it's less about aiming it at them and more about predicting the enemy movement from distance. And if you're up close, you just need to roughly aim in the center of their body mass and be comfortable pivoting your aim in big movements. It's like you do need a little bit of aim, but not to the level of precision. You need like very rough precision, but there's still some level of precision in Genji. So, hard to say. You can get away with it, but like, you know, I would say you just need strong raw crosshair placement. That's probably the better tip. So, wouldn't like if your aim is that bad, I would say stick to another hero because he is actually one of the higher skill ceiling heroes, and even if you don't need precision-based aim, you do need great crosshair placement, and there's a lot to manage with Genji. Your own movement as well is a big thing that can mess you up. Like if your aim is bad, imagine trying to aim while double jumping and wall climbing and having your own left-handed input on your movement while compensating for your movement and trying to aim and have good crosshair placement on the enemy team. That's just going to be a recipe for disaster. Work on one thing at a time. I'd play an easier hero if I were you. Symmetra, Torbjorn. Why do tanks do so much damage in Overwatch? In almost every game made, a tank sacrifices damage for survivability, but this doesn't seem to be the case in Overwatch. Tanks do the same damage as DPS, slightly more or less depending on the match. Isn't a complaint post, just wondering what the thought process is. Okay. Overwatch needs heroes that have some level of threat. So a lot of tanks and even a lot of supports can do a lot of damage in Overwatch. If supports don't have any damage, they're no threat, and they can never fight back a duel, like any sort of duelist or flanker like Tracer or Genji, that they're just gonna run the game. Same with a lot of the tanks. They need to be able to contribute or else they have no value. They just get ignored. If they're just a giant damage sponge, like if you're gonna not have damage, you need to have like the craziest CC to feel like you're contributing. The damage you deal is like a threat level to kind of like respect where they're standing, or else again they'll just skip right past them. You need some sort of balance in that capacity, yeah, or else tank just becomes even more of a cosmetic role. They'll just get completely ignored. What's the easiest shield tank to learn? My friends are sick of me only being able to play D.Va or Orisa. I never played Overwatch 1, so I don't have the experience of the other tanks, and to be honest, Ramatra and Sigma seem too technical for me, but often when we lose, my friend will say, it's because we needed a shield, and it's clearly aimed at me as I'm often the lone tank. Ramatra and Sigma's shields are really small, so I never know where to put them, plus they're quite slow characters in general, and I'm usually used to picking characters with very quick movement tech. Ryan looks very fun, and I've tried him a bit, but I just end up being a shield bot and rarely doing damage as I just don't know when to charge in at all. I just want to be a bit more useful when I'm playing with my friends. They're much more experienced and well better at the game. They're diamond and I'm high silver. Okay, the biggest takeaway for me is like, how is a diamond player complaining about needing a shield? If they're diamond, there's no way that they feel that that's the reason why they lost, is you're not playing a shield tank. That says to me that, okay, maybe it's a little rude. Like, there's so much more. I'll forgo the insult, but the way tanks work is less about shielding. Shielding is an easy, tangible way to see like mitigation from oncoming damage, but a tank's role is to generate and create space and hold the space. That can be done not only with the shield, but by having presence. And how do you have presence? Getting in, drawing threat, drawing aggro to you. That's what a tank is supposed to do. Shield is one tool to do it, but there's many ways to do it. A wrecking ball, slamming in, popping his adaptive shields, like shields HP, and pulling people to look at the ball and soak up damage. That's one way to do it. Mauga as well, jumping in and just soaking damage. A shield is a damage soaker, one tool for damage soaking. Use your whole body for it. So there's a lot of other tanks that can, all the tanks are supposed to be able to do this job in that way. So I would say tell your friends, say, no, it's not because we needed a shield. It's because I'm still new to tank. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to apply pressure to the team. don't use the shield thing as a scapegoat. But if you really want to learn a shield-based hero that's pretty good and easy, you say Sigma's technical, but I disagree. I think Sigma's one of the easier tanks to play. Much easier than Reinhardt. Well, Reinhardt's kind of easy on paper, but like the finesse of him and understanding the macro and how the tempo of the game is a lot harder on Rein. In my opinion. Ramattra has a pretty tough gameplay loop as well because you have to change forms and know when to aggress and when to not. But a hero like Sigma is you usually just put the shield right in front of you. That's it. Just like pop it in front of you, poke, poke, poke. Your shots, you don't have to reload. You just put up the shield pretty quickly, shoot, 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 take it down when it's about to go break, suck, absorb some damage, and then rinse and repeat. Throw some rocks in there and just hold primary fire. But if I had to recommend one, definitely Sigma. Sigma's a pretty safe pick on a lot of maps as well. And I know it's a slow character, but that's just the playstyle you're going to have to adopt if you're playing that hero. Ramattra's a lot faster, but a lot harder to finesse. There's no real easy solution here. Or at the end of the day, just play Orisa and D.Va. Orisa's one of the best tanks in the game, so is D.Va, to be honest with you. I like those two a lot more than Ram in a lot of cases. Maybe not Sigma on certain maps, but yeah, don't worry about what your friends are saying. Their anger or their complaint is misrepresented. They're blaming the wrong reason. How do I deal with Winston as a Winston? I just finished a comp game on Gibraltar Gold Rank. Both the opponent tank and I were playing Winston. I'm not sure what to do to mitigate Winston attacking the backline. I have two options: jump onto the Winston with the bubble to deny heals and protect my backline, or jump onto the enemy backline myself to hopefully get some picks or at least keep them out of the main fight. Neither seemed effective this game. How do others deal with the Winston mirror? So that's context dependent. Actually, both answers are sort of can work depending on what's happening in the context of the game. If their Winston's jumping by himself, you absolutely can just drop a bubble and like cut off the heals and turn around and zap him, like without you even engaging. If their Winston made a bad leap without any follow-up and no good angles to the rest of the team, you can absolutely turn around and pressure the Winston. If he does pop primal, then I would turn around and just jump their backline, because once he's primaling, he's pretty much out of control, and you don't do enough damage, you kind of tickle him. But you just kind of, I would say in the majority of cases, without that one specific scenario, jumping into a stronger dive onto the enemy backline and cutting them off with the bubble is inherently, I would say in most cases, a better solution than you trying to react to their Winston dive by kind of trying to zap him. You kind of just trade your cooldowns. If he jumps your backline, you have to jump theirs and make sure you do the same to deny it. Because if you're jumping their backline, then they obviously can't support the Winston as well. But yeah, that's how most people deal with the Winston. If you watch like high level Winston versus Winstons, you'll just see this is usually the case. One Winston jumps in, your Winston jumps in at the same time. And usually with Winston compositions, at least in the high end, you have a little bit of a follow-up with DPS, usually a Tracer. Tracer is a server admin in high elo. It's hard to play Winston without any sort of synergy with any of the DPSs. You just usually need to have one of the diving archetypes to make Winston feel a lot better, because Winston's damage is pretty static, 60 DPS if I'm not mistaken. And having either a Tracer or a Sombra or a Genji or even an Echo or a Pharah, something that can like reach the backline with you, is the best way and the best approach. Last question: why don't you want to use all your ultimates at once? New player here, been seeing different tips and educational videos, is that if you have a bunch of ults ready, you should be more conservative with them and spread them out. I don't understand why though. For context, I come from MOBAs where it's typically the opposite. You want to use them all because it generates a guarantee one fight a lot of the times. Okay, so in MOBAs, if you dump all your ults in League, by the time the next team fight breaks out, everybody has their ultimates back, because most ultimates are like what? Like a 1 minute, 1.5 minute cooldown. But in Overwatch, it's resource management. You're not just cooldown limited, you have to generate ultimate charge. And generating ultimate charge means lots of poke, lots of fighting. So if you dump all 5 ultimates at once, you have nothing for the next fight. You can dump everything when it's literally the last team fight and it's overtime to try to just end the round, right? But if it's in the middle of a match, there's still 3 minutes left on the clock, you try to just use just enough to win the team fight without overspending the rest of your resources, because the ultimates in this game take time to build up. Abilities can be used in every fight, but ultimates, there's a generation time for it, so that's the main reason why you don't want to use everything at once. And that is it for the week. Thank you all for listening. I'll catch you guys next week. Bye-bye.